Welcome to episode 10 of Run With. Today I talked to Marcus Brown, otherwise known as At the Marathon Marcus. Marcus is an experienced marathon runner and has brought his time down a huge amount since his first marathon of 4:55, where recently he hit his sub-3 goal and got 2:96 at Dorney Lake Marathon. He is a World Marathon Majors 6-star finisher and also the host of his own podcast called A Runner's Life. So today I am talking to the wonderful Marcus, who has just broken his sub-3 goal.
Yep.
And I cannot wait to kind of talk about your journey towards that and what it's taken to get to that big goal.
Yeah.
But first of all, how are you today?
I'm really good, thanks. Good to see you. It's been a while.
Yes,
so we're back in Trent Park. So this is where I first started running. So I was explaining to you before. Obviously, this is why I first started training for my first ever run. So it's always nice to come back here.
Yeah. So Marcus was reminiscing about running up and down 1 mile, did you say?
Yeah, 1 mile.
And post to post.
Yeah.
So is that how your journey started? You just post to post?
Yeah, I was just like wearing my football kit and just trying to wing it really, and it was just so hard to run a mile, and it always gives you sort of a bit of perspective coming back here. So I'm always grateful for how I started. Yeah,
sure, because you've come a long way since then. And
yeah.
What inspired you to start running? What inspired you to don your football kit and start going post to post?
There's no person or like elite run or anything like that. It was just more someone challenged me to sort of do a run, and I think it was like a half marathon. I was like, nah, there's no way. And they eventually got me down to do a race in 2006. So I eventually signed up to do that, and it was from then. And it's always been about challenging myself, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So there wasn't really any sort of inspirational. I saw someone running and thought, I want to be like that person. And I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it. Then I crossed the line, and I was just basically hooked. So I've been running on and off since.
On and off since, and how long ago was that?
2006.
2006, what, talking now 14 years?
Yeah, but there's probably like 4 or 5 years actually when I hated running and I stopped running, so I'm not sure if we'll get into that as well.
Okay, but yeah, that's why did you stop? So you did your half marathon.
Yeah.
And then when did the stop come?
So I got into marathons, and just to give some context, I wasn't coached, I was just really winging it. I was just trying to figure it all out, and you just do all the rookie mistakes. And I was trying to force something rather than actually let it happen naturally and just try to understand it more. And I was trying to break sub-4, and I ran London Marathon, and I completely bombed. I did everything, all the rookie mistakes, and I ran 4:55. And I thought, okay, let's try and do Berlin Marathon. This is when you could just enter Berlin Marathon, just first come, first serve type thing. And I got into it, and I think I ran 4:04, and I was just like, forget this, I hate running, I can't even break sub-4. So I didn't run for like several years, 4 or 5 years. And then I saw the London Marathon on TV, and I was like, oh, that looks amazing. You sort of see everyday people just running for causes greater than themselves, just to prove something to themselves, and it kind of reignited something about the love of running and why we run. And I think it just kind of started from there, really. So yeah, it was the London Marathon, which was almost like the undoing but the doing of me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. So it inspired you to kind of lace up again.
Yeah.
But I love that. So the second time round, I guess you found the right reason to run.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think you can use running as an escape. I think for me, I was using it as an escape to try and prove something to myself.
Yeah.
And as I've learned recently, or more so, is that running doesn't owe you anything, and you can't always expect just because you do A, you'll get B. Running sometimes goes forward and back, and you might stall or whatever. So I think I was in the expectation phase, and it just took me a while just to really understand that running's more than that, really. You actually have to embrace the bits that really suck, rather than just trying to think it's all about the wins, it's all about the medals, because it's not about that.
Okay, so London second time round.
Yeah.
What did you achieve then, time-wise?
I think I did like 4:15. I should have really known my times in detail.
You should do, yeah.
But it's more my recent, more recent times I could tell you. But the ones before, I was just trying to. It's more about completion, really. So I was put less pressure on myself to run sub-4 then, and then it took me a couple of times afterwards to break sub-4. I think it took me about 8 attempts.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot, isn't it? And I know that you started running again for different reasons, and your reasons have changed.
Yeah.
But were you still driven by that goal? So first off, your personal goal was sub-4.
Yeah, originally it was a sub 4. I think I just really wanted to prove something to myself, really. So it was all kind of tied into several different reasons, really. But I was a lot heavier than I was.
Because you've gone through quite a transformation, haven't you, from starting off?
Yeah, I used to be like 90 odd kilos plus, so I'm down to 70, mid 70s.
And that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot, but I guess that's kind of what you've had to do with your training to get the times that you want as well.
Yeah, but I haven't been focused on trying to drop weight. It's just more of a natural thing that happens through training.
Okay, so let's talk about your training. So you started off as a 4:55 marathon.
Yeah.
And now you're sub 3. What was your time? It was 2:57? 6.
Yeah.
I'm adding time on, sorry.
I know, 2:56.19.
2:56.19.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, in anybody's books, a huge, huge chunk of a marathon time.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how has your training changed over the years to get towards that sub 3?
So much. I think it's the physical stuff and the mental stuff as well.
Yeah.
So the physical stuff is just more, if I could sum it up, it's just being consistent and respecting the easy runs and the sessions. Whereas before I'd just be trying to run every session, like every run, like as fast as yesterday, which you can't do. So it's understanding that every run has a session. So working with my coach, he sort of helped me understand that you don't always need a coach to do these things, but for me it really helped with accountability and just to bounce things off.
So how long have you had a coach?
Must be coming up over 3 years now. Yeah, so it's been really good, and you know, we talk like week in, week out as well, just to sort of tweak the training and to see how I'm getting on, because like how you're getting on really does define like how the training goes. If you've got stuff happening with family, work, anything like that, you're feeling crap, it's going to have an impact on your sessions if you're not sleeping. So they kind of need to know all that kind of stuff as well, rather than here's 4 weeks and just bang it out.
Yeah, and like you said, you're accountable to your coach. You have to, you know, report back, and you have a good reason to report back for not doing something. Is your coach quite hard on you, just or fair?
To be honest, I'm probably hard on myself, so I kind of don't really need him to kind of push me, if that makes sense. If anything, sometimes he has to rein me back, because I do. Like for example, when I did Berlin Marathon last year and I had like some health issues, I remember just pushing myself through training, and I probably, in hindsight, probably shouldn't have done it, but that's just my mindset of me just being wanting to push through.
I think we all can do that though, can't we? We're quite stubborn as a breed, runners, and I think that we run through far too much. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, there's that physical side as well, which we talked about, but I think there's also the mental side as well. I'd say I was a lot more relaxed for this race in terms of like the build-up. So for example, with the runs before, it's almost like it was like another training run, if that makes sense, because I'd more or less done the same paces and more or less the same sort of distances before, so it wasn't anything new or going to catch me by surprise. And I just believed it more. I mean, you can never be 100% like I'm confident it's going to happen, but I was 51%, and you know, 51 is better than 49, and as long as you've got that. And I think before you kind of half believe it's going to happen, but this time I was just confident it was going to happen. It's interesting that you talk about the mentality side of it, because I do think that if you believe you're halfway there, and I think your mind can play amazing tricks, either positively or negatively. So when you've attempted the sub 3 before, you've kind of thought, it's not going to...
I believed in it. I mean, when I did Manchester the year before, so I've had 4 attempts. I was in sub 3 shape. I believed in it, but there's still that kind of doubt, and I didn't really have that much doubt this time round. And
would you say more committed, maybe, in the belief that you're going to do it?
No, I mean, like the training for Manchester, ironically, was probably one of the best training blocks I've ever had. Like everything went really well. Like the sessions went really well, and I just got basically made a rookie mistake. I had something I shouldn't have eaten the night before, got sick, and I paid the price for it on the day. And
I can remember actually, you being quite poorly. Weren't you sick as well, coming over the line at Manchester?
Yeah, so there's a video of me being sick. It's on my IG feed, and I've got like photos of like the photographer taking loads of shots of me just being sick and just
action shots.
Yeah, literally loads. So like, there's me crossing the finish line, being sick, and then there's a guy just like falling over behind me as well. It's just absolutely crazy. But it teaches you things, and like going through that experience, I know it sounds weird about being sick, but it's actually helped me my current marathon, because like you still feel nauseous and sick at different periods. And I remember probably like mile 14 onwards, I started to feel sick in different points. And I remember going back to like Manchester, being like, what's happened before? It sounds weird, but like, you know, like even if you are sick, you're like, the world won't end. Also, I'm not trying to be sick, but I was like, I've been there before, so I was like,
yeah, you
I'm like,
know.
yeah.
I find that really interesting actually, because I've been struggling in my sessions. I'm quite often sick.
Yeah.
And if Matt's pacing me on a session,
beast mode, yeah.
You know, I kind of say, oh, I'm going to be sick. I feel sick. And he's just like, keep going, find out. You know, how long you can go for feeling this way, and you know that you're going to be sick after. So just keep going until you are, or whatever. So I do find that quite interesting. Kind of finding your limits with what you can deal with what's happening to you. So when you're feeling sick, you know that you're going to feel sick.
Yeah, you know, it potentially could happen, but you just try to find like what you can give, the maximum you can give without being sick, and still give enough.
Fine line.
It's a fine line. So literally darts between that place. So yeah.
Yeah. I do often find it a result when I'm not actually sick.
Yeah.
I think I'm just a sicky runner. I'm a sicky try hard.
I think a lot of people are like that as well, because I think you're moving quickly, and like your body's probably not used to all that jiggling around and eating and all that sort of stuff.
It's to do with like the oxygen in your stomach, and there's lots of scientific stuff behind it, but I'm not really.
It's just a bit where you cut out and you just bring in the science.
Yeah.
And
So,
I'm like,
for further reference, please see. I would actually know where to look. I wouldn't want to Google it either. So your sub 3 attempt, which has been, so let's go back to your sub 4, because I know sub 4 is a lot of runners' goals.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of my goals.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, this is why I find you hugely inspirational, because you've gone from that 4:55 time, which is kind of, I think my PB at the moment is 4:45. So it's like when you see somebody that's gone from your kind of level all the way through to the level you're at now. Obviously it's taken hard work, it's taken commitment and sacrifices.
Yeah.
But that first breaking that sub 4, when did that happen?
I should have really known, shouldn't I? God, it's been such a long time. It's probably like, gosh, when was it? It's about 2015, 2016, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Thames Path. No, it was, where was it? I should have really known, shouldn't I?
Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, I had to think about it. I'm trying to think, it was down in Kingston. I can't remember the name of the race. I forget the name of the race, but yeah, it was like on the trails, and that was the first time I did it, and it's going to come to me afterwards. Thames Meander,
Okay,
that's
so
what
it
it
was
was,
on the trails?
Yeah, it was that, so it was part trails, part road, and I remembered I was like, you're sort of dodging and weaving between like people walking their dogs and people on their boats and stuff, so I remember crossing the line and thinking, wow, like, bloody done it like after like 8 attempts, to be honest, and that was like amazing, especially sort of going back to you know, the person that sort of bombed at 4:55. So some of my races sort of like in the ones in the back just completely sort of it's such a journey, and I don't try and hang on to each one, if that makes sense. It's all part of the journey, so you just remember like bits and pieces. So
I guess you do. You remember the highs and the very lows, and everything in between kind of just gets all blurred into one. Yeah. So breaking sub 4, that must have been huge. I mean, 8 marathon attempts for that. You know, anybody would be over the moon. Anybody would be over the moon anyway with sub 4. Yeah. And then the next part of your journey. Is to sub 3, and again it took a few attempts, but did you find that moving from that sub 4 goal to sub 3, did you find that required more sacrifice?
I'm not sure if sacrifice is the right word, because it makes it seem like you're taking something away from your life that you don't enjoy. I mean, I enjoy running, but it obviously comes that you got to commit to it and, you know, do some things here rather than do some other things there. So working with my coach really helped. I think I got down to about 3:35 myself, and that was just really just winging it, just through brute force.
I mean, that's impressive though, isn't it? So you devised your own training and...
like you said, you can do stuff yourself, but like I said, for me it works better to have a coach and to help me do that. But I guess to drop from there to where I am now has taken definitely a lot more work, and it's definitely been a process.
You work, you work full time.
Yeah.
You've got a young family, 2 young children, which is it's hard work in itself. And you commit to doing your training around all of that.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like a super person, because like you've got kids as well, and other people have got kids, and it's just one of those things that like people go, how do you do it all? And it's just like when you get your kids, you just manage to do it.
Just do it.
You just got to get on with it.
Yeah.
And you just find like the time that you've got, you just have to be better organised with your time. So I'm not any better than anyone else. You just you just have to. You have to. You've got no choice.
You're a bit different to me, because I don't think I'm that organised, so I pay for it quite a bit, because I just I'm scatty. I'm here, there, and everywhere. Do you think organisation helps?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, just trying to plan things out. I mean, sometimes I get things wrong, and you just try to do the best that you can. But yeah, to try to be as organised as possible, especially with family time as well. Because like you say, like running can take so much of your time, and like you say, like the stuff that I show on Instagram almost doesn't really show like what happens like behind the scene. Like if you look at my page, it's just most of me my running. I might show some bits of my daughter and my kids, but like a lot of that stuff you just don't see, because I try and keep that kind of separate and private and stuff.
Because obviously you're more than a runner, but a lot of people know you for being a runner, but there's a whole lot more that goes on behind the scenes. Yeah. Do you think it's quite important to hold that back for you?
Yeah, I mean, like in a weird way, like I look at someone like yourself and Matt, and I think it's amazing like how you guys are really open and can share stuff about your kids and stuff, and sometimes I wish like I could do more of that. But I find it, for me, maybe it's just like I find it really hard to sort of share that side of me. There's nothing wrong with either side, to be honest. I really admire that you guys can do it, and sometimes I wish I could do more of that, but I sort of find that bit of me just holds back.
I think there is a flip side though, because sometimes I look at what I share on social media and I feel like I'm an oversharer, and sometimes I regret sharing so much, because I think, most people that follow me on social media know kind of everything, and there isn't anything kind of held back just for us to enjoy and to kind of there is a flip side. There is the oversharing bit, and personally I am trying to reel it in a little bit, because I think you can just give too much of yourself to let's face it, people that you don't know, and in the grand scheme of things don't actually matter. So when you're sharing personal stuff, why are you doing it? I do like sharing bits of my journey.
It's hard though, because you want to sort of show, like, if we get in that trap of like trying to show that you're a real person, and it's like not like, because I think sometimes Instagram can get like a really bad rap in terms of like people saying, oh, you're just showing a fake side of yourself. It's like, well, no, I'm just sort of showing one part of who I actually am. It's not a fake side, it's who I am. Just because you don't see everything doesn't mean I'm being dishonest or I'm being dishonest. So it's hard.
I mean, you're a runner. You're not the the Kardashians who whose whole game is sharing every bit of their life.
I mean, there's stuff like my wife is like a massive part of like allowing me to do what I do as well. Like without her support, there's no other way that I could be able to do as much training, because it's like you've got to be quite understanding to someone who's be like, I'm going to go for a long run on Sunday, I'm going to be back for like the morning. That is understanding, especially when you've got 2 kids, 3 and like 9 months. So like, and when you come back, you can't be like, oh yeah, I'm tired, my legs hurt. It's like, no, here are the kids, do your dad duties, get on with it.
You can't get a sneaky nap in there. It's all about the recovery. I just need a little nap.
Active recovery, go to the park.
On Disney Plus. Let's have a look.
Oh my gosh,
Although 9 months and 3, there is no kind of putting Disney Plus on and just saying sit still for an hour and a half.
Peppa Pig, oh my gosh, all that sort of stuff. You hear all the songs.
Peppa Pig's evil. She's not a nice girl. She bullies George. She bullies her dad. I think she's okay to her mum.
Some of the stuff they say is like slightly questionable. It's like, and like when they talk at the place, they greet each other, going hello, hello, hello. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they don't all say that.
I do love a bit of Peppa Pig. Fireman Sam's another one. Naughty Norman Price. Okay, amazing. And obviously, with your wife's support, then that allows you to kind of enjoy what you do, which is running.
For sure.
Is she a runner?
No, she played a lot of team sports like netball, football. She just enjoys being with other people. Whereas me, I'm the opposite. I'm just like enjoying being by myself. I like if I just go for a run, just be in my own space. Don't get me wrong, I can like when I meet people and I like speak to you and stuff, like you can hold your own and just chat with people. But like when you're running, I just like to have that own time for myself.
I agree with that. I'm very much a solo runner. In fact, I'm not even a member of a club at the moment because club runs and stuff don't really appeal to me.
Yeah.
I'd probably benefit from it with my running.
Yeah.
But I like going out and processing stuff, and that's the only time that I can do it, especially when you've got children. And at home, it is, you don't get 5 minutes to yourself.
Exactly, you want your own space. Exactly.
You just need to go out, rebalance, and just get everything through your head.
No one's speaking to me for like an hour.
Great. So let's talk about your sub 3.
Yeah.
Amazing. I was
Thank
so
you.
chuffed for you because you did do it. Marcus did at Dorney Lake.
Yeah.
And it was on the London Marathon Day, which was absolutely savage with the weather, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so we got down there and it was like really windy and there was a lot of rain, and I looked, obviously like most runners, you check the weather before, and being a geek, I could sort of see that the wind was like a crosswind, so I was like, okay, that's not too bad, I can deal with that, because with Dorney Lake you've got massive stretches.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. But you get down there, and I'm human as well, so like I got out there, I'm in my singlet and stuff, and it's like raining, it's windy, it's like crap, this is going to be awful. And I remember posting something in my Instagram stories, and as soon as I posted, I was like, that was a mistake, I shouldn't have done that, because basically I'm letting it get in my head.
Yeah.
So like, but I'm human, do you know what I mean? So I was like, there's no way I'm going to take that post down, I just leave it as it is. And then I stopped and had to give myself a proper talking to. I was like, look, you've put so much work into getting here. Are you going to say that you're going to quit because of that? Like you've done like Boston 2018 when you had a worse weather.
I want to talk about that as well, yeah.
So I was like, there's no way that you're going to quit now. And I was like, all the training runs, I was thinking back to New York when I got to 20 seconds and I just didn't make it. And I remember speaking to my wife afterwards, and although it was a PR at the time, I was devastated because I was just like, I just missed it. I was like, just get into it. There's no way, I don't want to feel like that again. You've got to do it this time. So yeah, it was just, once you kind of like talk back to yourself, it was like, it sort of helped sort of process things and just move through it. Yeah, I mean, the first 2 laps were awful. So it's like 4 laps and yeah, it was crosswinds and rain. And then the last 2 laps, it was just like the wind direction changed, you used to get headwinds, and it's like, man, it's like, this is like hilarious. This is so fun. I just can't wait for this. Because you know, like sometimes when you're sitting in your couch, you're just like, oh, I want to run sub 3, I want to do these challenges. Yeah. You're like, all these best plans are like made when you're sitting down, just like, I'm going to crack this out, I'm going to do this. And then you're out there, you're just like, I want a challenge, but I didn't want this challenge. It's like, tone it down. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, just get through it. And yeah, I'm just glad that I could just get through it. And it's amazing because you look back at the person that, like I said, the 4:55 runner and the journey that you've been on, and it's like such a sense of self-satisfaction. And I haven't really sort of come off that high because I know what it's taken to get to this level. And you know, taking nearly 2 hours off your marathon time is an amazing thing. So like, I'm just still buzzing, and I'm not done yet, but I'm just really satisfied for almost proving myself right and not listening to my doubts, other people's doubts,
and
all that kind of stuff.
I love that. You know, it does mean so much because you have been knocked back, and you've had to keep coming back at it, and you've had to keep working at it. It wasn't just given to you. I've talked before with Matt actually about you know, talent versus hard work and all the rest of it, but you've really had to graft, and
4 times to do it. So, yeah.
But it doesn't matter, you know, 8 times to get your sub 4, 4 times to get your sub 3. I mean, it just means so much because you've been on that journey.
Yeah.
Perhaps it, you know, more emotional than if you'd have just kind of gone out there and breezed through a sub 3. Does that mean as much?
Yeah.
You know,
I
obviously
agree.
the time's still there, but what you've given to that is a whole different level.
Yeah, for sure.
And I do love the fact that you've just graft. You turn up, like you said, you're consistent, you go and get it done. Yeah.
And there's so many lessons in it as well, like putting a big goal out there on social media and not achieving it, and actually life does go on. You know, the first time, second time, third time, and it's like, just keep going, do you know what I mean? And it's good life lessons outside of like social media and just for me personally. So
I want to ask you about putting goals on social media, because my new thing is I kind of feel like I need to step back away from publicly saying at every stage of my running journey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. At the moment, I've taken it right back, and I've got a 5k goal in mind, but I've not told anybody what my 5k goal is, because I feel sometimes when I put a specific goal out there, it puts on too much pressure, and something always kind of goes wrong.
Yeah.
Do you agree with putting on specific goals, or again, do you think something maybe sometimes we should hold back a little bit?
I think you've just got to do what's right for you, and from what you're saying, it's the right decision for you. And I think as long as you're comfortable with it, and as long as you can sort of take any kind of criticism from yourself in your own mind, then put it out there. But for me, it's been a learning process putting that goal out there, and but the support from other people has been amazing, and it's really nice when people come back to you and say, like, I've been following your journey, it's really inspiring to see. So you never know who you're inspiring in that process. So I just say, like, person dependent, just do what's right for you. If you feel like you want to, then do it. But then I think if it's going to be a goal, like for me, it's just like that single goal, and people have known that goal for such a long time. It's not really changed. I remember I'm pretty sure I'm not sure if you were there, but when we were back at Essex, and I remember we were in Bath, I think it was.
Yeah, that was before me. That was the year before, I think.
Okay, cool. So I'll pass that story then. I thought you were there.
Marcus thought I was always a front runner.
Yeah.
So Marcus and I were both Essex front runners for a while, which was really good time.
Yeah.
So that's how we met. Just in case, people probably know that we were front runners, don't they?
No, I think I knew you before, actually, front runners.
Yeah.
On social. Yeah. So
oh, now you want to tell me the story? No.
Huh?
No, still no story. It was you had to be there story.
It's like there's no point in telling the story now, because I thought you were there too. So like, do you remember that time when you were like I wasn't there, Marcus? Like, no, okay.
Anyway.
Cut that bit out.
Okay, so just a couple of other things.
Yeah.
So in Boston, you had the horrific Boston, which, if anybody's seen, it was 2018, wasn't it?
Yep.
And the weather was just abysmal. Do you think that's the worst race conditions you've ever had?
That's the worst weather I've ever run in.
Yeah.
Like, fact.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just torrential rain from like the moment I left my hotel to the moment I got back.
Yeah.
Headwinds.
And cold, right?
It was cold, yeah. And obviously the wind makes it even colder than the actual temperature. So, and then you're soaked through, and it's just like this perfect storm of just this pain and suffering. But ultimately, that's actually really helped me, especially for the recent race. I was just like, you've done that, so you can do this. But then sometimes it can really make you go the other way, because then you have to bear in mind that, like, that mindset you can't just put on other people. So like, if someone's going to run with you and it was raining, you can just be like, I'll just put a coat on. It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
So like,
but that was also another journey that you went on. So that was your 6th star. That was your 6th World Marathon Major. I always say it really slow because I always get it messed up.
It's a lot, yeah.
So it's Tokyo, Berlin, London,
Chicago, Boston, New York.
Boston and New York. So that was the end of another journey.
Yeah.
How was that for you? How did that feel, completing that?
One of the best things that I've ever done, really. It's also about just not really limiting yourself and what you can achieve. So for me, when I first started the majors, I did London, as I said before, and I did Berlin, where I didn't break sub 4, and I just thought, that's my lot, to be honest. I thought, there's no way I can do in the other ones. And I remember speaking to a friend, and she did New York City Marathon. I was like, there's no way that New York's going to be better than London, right? She's like, no, it is, it's much better. I was like, okay, cool, so I want a piece of this. But then I think, do you know, sometimes when you see someone that you know that's done it, it makes you think, oh, why can I not do it?
Yeah.
Why have I just stopped myself, like, thinking that I could do it? So I thought, okay, cool. Then I basically researched on how I could get into the race, and did New York, and I absolutely loved it. It's probably one of the toughest courses, because I think with Boston as well, but just the support and just the atmosphere throughout is just incredible, and it was just priceless. So I've been back a couple of times since.
That's
and I've really loved it.
interesting. So I always think that London's the pinnacle, for support and atmosphere.
Don't get me wrong, London is incredible, but like the American races are just do you know what I mean? They're very close, but do you know what I mean? They're so well supported. Yeah. I won't take away anything from London, so but yeah, just the support, and it's amazing. That's the thing as well with the current situation that we find ourselves in with Corona. It's just like when that's taken away, what races are going to be like moving forward. So that's something I worry about. But yeah, going back to Boston, it was just I think it was really, the weather was bad. I sort of said to myself, like, you can choose to suffer or you can just accept it. And I chose the latter, even though it really sucked. I was just like, it does suck, but just get on with it and just put one foot in front of the other. It's really weird. It's just like in this sort of trance-like zone from the start to the finish. And then once I crossed the line, then you're kind of like, it's almost like 3, 2, 1, now snap back out. And then it's like, oh my God, it's really cold. And I've got to get back to the hotel and stuff. But yeah, I was just really focused on just getting through it. And it's just incredible. So I want to go back to Boston. Obviously, whenever it happens.
Conditions.
Yeah, whatever that will be, yeah, for sure.
It is sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's really tough at the moment because we do thrive on the races and the community, I guess, as well, because it's not just racing, it's the whole thing that goes along with it. It's the support, it's the crowd, it's everybody getting involved, whether they're running it or supporting it or just watching it.
And the friends I've made as well from doing the majors as well, and like when I go to different places in the world, like I'd never feel alone. If I was travelling by myself, I'd always have people I know.
And that's amazing, right?
Yeah.
You know, that you could say you're travelling to wherever it is and you can pick up and, you know, catch up with somebody.
Yeah, go for a run, get something to eat.
And that's amazing, and that's something that wouldn't necessarily be in your life without running. So,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do love that. I love the running community, and I know that you're very much part of it. And I love your podcast.
Thank you.
Your podcast.
Thank you.
I've recommended it actually previously on one of my running motivation tips because it is a really good podcast, but you have such a wide range of guests, and again from all over the world. Yeah. So that's always great. But how did that start? Is that because of your love for the running community, or?
So the idea for the podcast started, I think I had it before. I wanted to take the conversations that we have offline and put it online. Yeah. And you have so many interesting conversations. And I thought, oh, well, during like lockdown, like you can't see anyone, obviously virtually, and I thought this is probably the time to start it, because obviously before we could just go out and see each other. So it basically started as a lockdown project, and it's kind of snowballed from there. I'm not a journalist, and I'm just learning on the job really, so it's really interesting. I'm just really curious to speak to people and like find out about them, and just really look beyond kind of just like the times, the splits, and just understand what makes that person them and how we can all relate to it, and just go through the things that we all feel, like regardless of like if you run a 2 and a bit hour marathon or you run a 6 hour marathon, we all feel similar type things, go through similar experiences during training, and it's those kind of experiences that I want to share and highlight, and then people can listen to it and go, oh, I can relate to that regardless of time. So I try to focus, if you listen, I know you listen to it anyway, but if you want to listen to it anyway, it's like there's not really much chat about like splits or kit and stuff like that. It's just more about like what we all generally experience, and been able to sort of speak to some amazing people, had some really deep conversations about things wider than running that have got me quite emotional in different parts as well. I've spoken about mental health, like losing children as well. That's just one of the reasons why I sort of started raising money for Sands for the Dorney Lake Marathon as well. And just all these sort of things, that the reasons why people run and do things, and it's just amazing to connect with people. And for me, it's just been incredible just to connect with people on that level, and then sort of read the feedback and how people relate to it, and you know, learn something from it as well. So yeah, I'm really enjoying doing it, and just see what happens with it.
Yeah, you've had some great guests on there, and I love the conversations that you have. I find it very inspiring. It's really good to plug into whether you're doing a long run. Yeah. I actually put it on in the car when the kids aren't in there. Yeah. I can't listen when the kids are in there. They're asking for Baby Shark and Gummy Bears. But I will put the link to Marcus's. I
should have said it. A Runner's Life podcast. I should have said it.
Runner's Life podcast. So I will put the link below. Please do check it out. There's lots of episodes that you can go through.
Cool. Thank you.
You've had some really, really cracking guests. I'm glad that you found that in lockdown, and I'm sure many others are as well. Yeah. It's just nice hearing other people's experiences, and I think that you have the right conversations on there, which is really inspiring. Yeah,
and just looking at stuff like wider than myself. Like I've got 2 episodes that are going to come out. I'm not sure it's going to come at the time when this comes out, but speaking to women that have experienced like harassment during whilst running, and like as a man, like you don't experience it, but just because you don't experience it doesn't mean it's not a real thing. So just like speaking to other people and just hearing other people's experiences, coming out, and like I learned a lot from that
Yeah.
as well. So it's like 2 episodes, and I'm looking forward to sharing that, and just like having conversations wider than yourself.
Yeah.
And you just learn so much, and I'm just enjoying just seeing where it goes.
Yeah, that would be a very good episode to listen to, actually, because this week I put on my stories that I was out on a run on my own, and you know, it's blokes kind of going past catcalling and whatever, but you think, hey, come on, I'm out here on my own at night, female. Don't do it. It's not good crack at all. It's not even funny or banter or whatever. So that would be. But the messages I receive from women who suffer with the same thing, you know, and it is just kind of like, oh yeah, you know, you got catcalled. But it's just because it's normal, or no, it's not normal. But just because it happens a lot doesn't make it okay.
Yeah, because I think what happens is that people put it under the realm of banter, and it becomes such a normal part of life that for us guys, that we don't really understand like how common it is for women every day, even outside of running. And when I was listening to some experiences, just like, man, this is like really ridiculous. This is really serious, and like how we've all kind of made it seem like a normal thing. And I think it's for us guys really to sort of step up and be respectful of like women. I mean, we all came from a woman, do you know what I mean? Like we all know someone that relates them. It's like, would you be happy if you spoke to your mum like that, or your sister, or your wife, or it's just ridiculous. So like, and these like low level things which you think are low level of banter, like if we're both laughing then it's funny, but if I'm laughing and you're not laughing, it's not funny. And it's just like the impact that it has for other people. And like you're saying, like if you don't like, the impact is you don't feel safe. So I don't get why guys don't think that's acceptable.
Okay. Yeah.
So I think us guys really need to do a lot more, because I think the thing that annoys me about this, and I'm just going off on a tangent,
It's alright, carry on.
is that like a lot of the focus is on women and like what women should be doing in terms of like, oh, you know, we should be running in like around our house in circles and bright clothes. Like, no, guys, you need to stop being dicks. Do you know what I mean? Just like, be respectful. That's it.
I did actually receive a lot of messages from men, because the trouble is at the moment as well, I don't want to feel like I'm calling out all men by saying that, but unfortunately it is men that are doing that to females. I don't think it would really be, I've not been catcalled by women as far as I'm aware, but I did get a lot of messages from men who said, you know, like, I'm sorry that's happened to you, and on behalf of all males, you know, I'm sorry that some men still think this is acceptable.
Yeah.
Which is nice, because, you know, the majority aren't dickheads, but unfortunately there are a few bad apples.
But it's just like the Black Lives Matter movement, isn't it? It's just, we talk about being racist, not racist, and anti-racist. It's like, if something happens and you sit there and do nothing, you're not being an anti-racist. It's like you're not being an anti-sexist. Do you know what I mean? So it's just like the same type of thing. You know, we just need to be good humans to each other, and I just don't see why that's such a big thing, to be honest.
But I think as well, I guess, like with Black Lives Matter, it's about education, isn't it? And it's about making sure that we all educate ourselves on how to behave, even if you think that you're behaving in the correct way, making sure that you definitely are educated, and you are learning, and you are, you know, changing yourself to make sure that we as a whole are better as a society.
Yeah. I think on one hand, you don't know what you don't know, because if you live in a certain way, it's like, I don't know what it's like to be a woman. So there's the education from my side and that side. But yeah, I think, the Black Lives Matter thing, it's definitely learning for both sides, all sides, I think. But I think as long as we're just mindful of like other people's experiences and not kind of putting them down, I think that's a step in direction. But these things have been ongoing for a while, to be honest, and I think there's still a lot of work to be done. I mean, the stuff that we're doing like with Black Trail Runners, which is I'm one of the co-founders of, and when people hear that thing, Black Trail Runners, they're thinking, oh, that's like a black separatist group. It's not a black separatist group. The reason why we have it is because like, we're trying to make, everyone's like, oh, running's for everyone. Well, if that was the case, then we wouldn't have our group. Ironically, if running was for all and everyone felt okay to be in open spaces, then our group would be disbanded, and I'd be happy to see that. Because that's what we all want. We want everyone to feel comfortable, not feel like an oddity. It's like, you can be in London and you can be running as like as a black person, and you know, you're kind of in an urban area, but as soon as you go outside then you're kind of in a minority. And I think there's like a statistic from, I think, the national parks in the UK that says, like, I think less than 1% of the people that go to the parks and like our spaces are people from like ethnic minorities.
Really?
And that sort of goes to show that, like, although you can get in the train and go there, you don't feel as comfortable going there.
Yeah. Why aren't people going there? Why aren't you?
I just think that people just don't feel as comfortable, really, because and it sounds ridiculous. People are like, you just get in a car, you just get in a train, just go out there. But like when you're out there and you're one of the only, it's still quite a weird thing for people to kind of wrap their head around and to do that. And for me, like, I don't care. I mean, I'll go and run and do my own thing, but then not everyone's like that. And you can't expect everyone to have that sort of just like, let's put your coat on and go.
Yeah, you got to be self-assured and confident, and you're right. Not everybody possesses that.
Yeah,
and it's something that other people can help build. Within others.
Yeah.
So is that the goal of Black Trail Runners?
So we've got 3 pillars: so access, representation, and skill. So we're just trying to build on those sort of things. And I appreciate there's so many movements right now with like black runners and black people doing different things, and we're kind of formulating what we want to do, but essentially we kind of want to make black people feel comfortable in outdoor spaces and part of just the regular conversation, beyond what people would assume. Like people can say, oh yeah, like for runners, for example, like there's loads of black runners, like elite runners and stuff, but like for me, for example, like I'm not running in Ethiopia, I'm not running in Kenya. If anything, I don't know that many black guys that are running marathons in London around the stuff sort of I'm doing. I'm not saying there's not, but I don't know that many guys that are doing it. So it's like, well, again, if you're one of the only, even in an urban area, then why would you do it? So these groups have like a place and for what they do, but I think essentially we're just trying to make it a normal part of conversation and to make everyone feel welcome within the running community. And like I said, that also expands to women feeling like comfortable to run as well. And I feel as well, like my daughter as well, I sort of think, oh, would I be happy for her to do that? Do you know what I mean? So I think as a parent, you sort of think as well, you kind of want to leave the world in a better place than you came into it, and otherwise you're just being selfish. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I talk about these things, not talking about it because, and literally, I think back in my 20s, I've been like, forget it. It's not my problem, but you speak about these things, you're like, it's important to not just you, but just everyone. So.
And for the generations that are coming up now, like, and I think when you become a parent, you do realise as well just how important it is and how many changes there need to be made for our children and for their future. Yeah, absolutely. So I will put a link on for the Instagram, for all of Marcus's social links, and include the Black Trail Runners as well. Any others that we can put up on there?
No, just me.
Just me.
Just me.
Just me. That would be my links. Okay, brilliant. So let's just finish it up. What's the goals for you now? What moving forward? What's your plans?
So my next marathon goal is to get a London Championship place.
Yeah.
So sub 2:45.
Sub 2:45.
Yeah.
God, that's hard. That's hard for a man.
It's all hard, isn't it, really? So sub 3 is hard. So
I do look at the women's times, I think there's a little bit more leeway there.
It is what it is, and I can only focus on my time. And I think what an amazing journey to sort of look back and be like, you were on 4:55 and went down to sub 2:45. So for me, that's an amazing thing. I just want to see how good I can be in a marathon distance, which is why I'm concentrating in this distance rather than looking at ultras or short distances or anything like that.
So no plans on different distances for the time being?
Not yet. I mean, to be honest, there's so many races out there that I'd love to do, like Comrades and things like that. But I think that again requires like dedication to training for that specifically. I don't think you can just kind of be like 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
Okay then, so question for you, Comrades, the uphill or downhill year?
I think both would be pretty tough either way, to be honest. Because like downhill, you feel like it's great, but then it's going to kill your quads, so you've still got to train for that. And to be honest though, the uphills, like I got PRs in like New York, and I actually enjoyed running that in Boston, ironically, because I think you engage different muscles. Because when you say, oh, run a flat course, you think, oh, it'd be great, but then I know it's a different thing, but like you're using the same muscles, so you just never switch anything up. So I think running different surfaces like that will definitely help. But I wouldn't have any preference, but I think that would be one for the future. But like I said, I want to look back and be able to say like I gave my absolute best in the marathon distance.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking to do at the moment. Sorry, just got distracted by a whistle.
Okay, I love that you want to focus on the marathon, because I think sometimes, I mean, I feel like I'm a little bit of I like this distance, I like that distance. Like, generally, I like the marathons and the ultras.
Yeah.
But I am doing the 5K at the moment just to try and help my marathon time, because I don't think I've got that base speed that I need to be able to get quick at the marathon.
Yeah, 5Ks hurt, don't they?
They do, and I spew. I'm sick, even parkrun.
Yeah.
I think our local parkruns, I miss parkruns so much, but they're kind of aware that if I've tried hard, I'll be off behind a tree or a bush. I do try and conceal it.
Okay.
So the championship is the next goal.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no doubt that you'll commit and give everything to getting that goal.
Yeah.
We just need the races now as well to open back up, don't we?
Yeah, so we've got a London Marathon hopefully happening in October. Let's see if that happens next year. There's still lots of like smaller races in the UK. I mean, I did Dorney.
Yeah.
I think they can definitely do more events.
They've got quite regular races on, haven't they?
Yeah, so they've got stuff on next year. Yeah. So I mean, racing now is just so different, because before you get in your like groups and run together. Yeah. Whereas when we did the race at Dorney, it was kind of like you go off in like little groups and stuff like that. But the thing that I found really difficult as well is that you'll end up running a lot of it by yourself.
That makes it harder, doesn't it? I do think it does make it harder if you have a group to run with. Yeah,
because sometimes it's nice to have a group of people that you know you can keep that pace together, and you can sort of swap positions and just push each other when you need to. So I kind of missed that, but then at the same time, I'm just grateful that it's an official race and it is available, rather than not have been able to do it and say having to do a virtual race, because I'd be the same like Matt as well. I'd want to make sure it's like measured.
Measured. Oh, do you need to get Matt and his measuring wheel?
You need the measuring wheels for this, because you can't trust watches.
He later found out that obviously he ordered a measuring wheel off Amazon, which is like about that big, so we're kind of walking around the lake going like this.
That was hilarious watching that back.
I think somebody got in touch with Martin and was like, we actually measure courses with bike wheels. So we just ride the bike. So he's there with his little wheel. But,
so was that another trip on Amazon to buy the next wheel?
Honestly, I think actually Danny O'Reilly invested in a wheel as well.
Okay.
So the wheels are catching on.
Yeah. But he just had a newborn, so I'm sure he can't be using that right now. It's the wrong time.
But it's all good. I'm really excited to watch what you do, and
thank you.
Obviously, we'll be behind you 100%. Because we love
virtually.
Yeah, virtually. Yeah, so that's great. So, have you given yourself a timescale for that?
No.
A race aim for?
Next year, I'm going to go for it, and both attempts. I think I've got a spring race in April for Dorney, and then if I don't need to be positive, I'm going to go for it then.
Yeah.
And then see what happens for October. I think you can only really focus on the next race. So I want to be positive and just be like, I'm going to put the training for the next race.
Yeah.
You can't go into it kind of like half doubting, and that's the thing though with like training, and like I don't doubt that it's going to be difficult, but the thing I've learned with my coach is that like sometimes when you work with someone that's got trust in you, sometimes just like put your disbelief to one side and just believe them and just go with it. Because even doing the stuff that I was doing recently before Dorney Lake, I was just like, this is crazy. Like before, you wouldn't have thought you could do that.
Yeah.
We've all had that sort of experience where you look at your training session, you're like, oh my god, I've got to run that pace.
Yeah.
Like it's like if they've been smoking something, they've been drinking something. I'm not quite sure. Then you hit it, and you're just like, wow, this is really cool. Like, and so
it does spur you on though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, if I think I can do it,
Yeah.
I can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to go for that in Dorney next April, and I'm looking forward to the training.
Yeah, me too, and I'm looking forward to following your journey online.
Thank you.
Online and through the podcast as well, so you do share bits on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing, more dogs. This is a lot of dogs now.
There are a lot of dog walkers, aren't there?
But it's been really good chatting to you, and I've loved catching up with you, and it's been a nice day, thankfully.
Yeah.
So I might get a coffee now and warm up.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good idea, to be honest.
Brilliant. I will put all of Marcus's socials below, so please do go and check him out and give him a follow. Other than that, I'm going to get a coffee because I'm cold. And I'm in a big coat. Marcus is in his little top because we were meant to be going for a run, but my foot paid for that.
It's been good catching up with you anyway.
Yeah,
Thanks,
it's been
Kelly.
great. I
Thanks
really
for the
enjoyed
opportunity to talk to you.
Yeah, loved it.
I really hope that you enjoyed today's interview with Marcus. Please do check out his links below and go and give him a follow and some support. If you have enjoyed the video, please do make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when future episodes of Run With are coming out. If you do have any suggestions on who you would like to see on future episodes of Run With, then please do leave a comment below. Let me know who it is that you would like to see me interview. Other than that, stay safe and happy running.